Hello, YNABers. My name is Jesse Meekum, and this is podcast number 68 for You Need a Budget, where we teach you 4 rules to help you stop living paycheck to paycheck, get out of debt, and save more money. Today, I have a very special interview with Jay Money of my favorite named blog of all time, budgetsaresexy.com. Jay Money's been blogging for about 5 years, named his blog the best name I'm yet to find. And I instantly liked him. And then I met him at FinCon last year, and I really did like him. So, fun guy, and we cover all sorts of different topics, jumping from side gig to full-time, hustling for money with all sorts of strange tactics, and just trying to find things that you enjoy doing, understanding that money isn't everything, and having a good time while you're making it. Here is the interview. All right, I'm here with Jay Money from budgetsaresexy.com. Jay, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's cool, man.
All right, so where do you hail from?
I am talking to you from right outside Washington, D.C. area, the East Coast.
But specifically, I mean, what man cave do you hail from? I want you to tell people a little bit about your man cave because I want to post some pictures.
Yes, I went on a DIY, DIY, Target binge with shelves, and I started making a whole wall full of my personal library kind of deal.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted that Ron Burgundy feel where it's like old school, but kind of a little funny in a way.
Uh-huh.
So I have like a old, fake fireplace in there and some pipes, and even though I don't smoke pipes, I have some liquor, even though I don't really drink that while I'm working, all that kind of stuff, just to make my little blogging environment fun and cool and excited, as much as you can be down in the basement.
Yeah, exactly. So how long have you been blogging now?
Man, this month will be 5 years, the middle of February. Pretty crazy. All from just, sharing some thoughts out there on money. I didn't really know what I was doing, and here we are later, and it's now my full-time gig.
So you picked money. I mean, you seem to be a person of varied interests.
Yes.
So why money? What was it about that topic that kind of pulled you in?
I think it's probably a couple of things, but the main thing was we bought a house in the middle of the peak when everyone was buying and flipping and all that stuff. And I thought, well, all my friends are buying a house. I need to buy a house.
Yeah, of course.
And I've always been okay with money. I haven't been really good or really bad, just kind of middle line. Bought a house, and I was like, crap, I don't even have a budget. I didn't put any money down. We just signed on the dotted line. Like we actually went to rent a 1-bedroom apartment to save money. My fiance and I at the time. And like 48 hours ended up buying, a house.
Oh my gosh.
$360,000 on a whim. Which is that's my personality is very like, all over the place. And, I grew up from the military lifestyle, so I'm moving all the time. Anyways, long story short, I started researching online, like how do I get a budget, all that kind of stuff. And I kept coming across like all these like personal stories and like diaries online.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are these? Like I've never heard of a blog. And, I kept getting drawn to people like saying, hey, here's how much I make. Here's like my story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, well, crap, I can tell my story just like everyone else did. And I don't like writing. I don't like editing, all that stuff. And I just created a blogger profile or whatever, a blog, and started writing. And, that's how I got started. But that's why money became the number one, because we bought a house. And I've always enjoyed talking about money and trying to figure out ways to make money, even though I wasn't really good at it at the time. So that kind of just started. And, once you get going, you get excited about stuff. So
yeah, you kind of notice that your interest broadened a little bit. And
oh, yeah.
Now, you say you don't like writing, but you mean like you don't proofread and make sure your commas are all squared away and you just throw it up there?
Yeah, in the beginning, I just said, you know what, I'm going to make it a point not to edit, not to like I would not even capitalize like I's or starting sentences. Like I was horrible at it. And I personally liked it because, I can pump out my thoughts in like 2 minutes. Then as time went on, a lot of people started like, complaining. And then, I got one email from someone at a really large, website like a news media outlet that was like, dude, like I love your stuff, but like you curse all the time, you don't punctuate. Like if I can never like take or promote you
Yeah.
because it's like bad for my audience, you know. And that one thing, like in a way, like made me, I guess you could say, like sell out a little bit. Like I started dedicating more time on cleaning up and polishing my stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't change my style of writing, but I changed like how it like got put out there.
Well, I'm
Um,
glad you haven't sworn yet. I had
I had to catch myself already.
I I had a webinar like years ago with Ramit who tends to swear. I don't swear, so apparently I attract people that also don't care for the swears. And I had this webinar with Ramit on there, and it was really good content. You know, he's talking about earning extra money and giving really good tactics, but he's swearing. So in the comments of the webinar, like streaming in, people are like, "Stop swearing," because it was all for like people that liked YNAB and all that stuff. So in the end, we had to like clean it up and make
Well,
sure it was kosher.
for you, I made it a point to try and catch myself from swearing. I've already caught it twice since talking, which I normally don't do. So
we all appreciate it. So so
but
on.
yeah, in general, I don't like to write, and I like to get my thoughts out.
Yeah.
But now it takes me. I did a post today. It took me 2.5 hours.
Whoa.
And if you look at it, it's really like, oh, this guy did it in like 15 minutes.
Was this the rollerblading post, or have you already put that one up?
That one already went up, but that took me 2 hours. But I actually wrote it in like 10 minutes. But by the time you clean it up and you get pictures and you edit it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it all helps to grow your business, and that's if you want that, then that's what you have to do. So.
I think if you were to look only at the internet commenter population, you would be convinced that like 9 out of 10 people are grammar just Nazis, So I had a guy that was yelling at me. I wrote this really great thing about Roth IRA versus traditional IRA. How do you make the decision, blah, blah, blah. And
right.
The guy could not get off my use of all right as one word. It's not one word, apparently, But,
what? Like ALRIGHT?
Yeah, you can't use that. It's not allowed. So you better do like a big database query, find all your posts with that in there, and switch it out. Anyway, he was really offended at that. So, content aside, the all right usage was too much for him. So.
All right. Now I'm gonna remember that because I say that like probably like 2 times every post. So.
Yeah. So do I. I'm like, okay, so all right, and then.
I start my sentences with so or but or and all the time.
Exactly. So despite your lack of English as a professional background and all that stuff, you've been doing the blogging thing. Yep. I wanted to talk about your series on your site. This is budgetsaresexy.com, just in case anyone's forgotten. But the series where you talk about the hustling for money, and just share maybe some that you've attempted or some that people have shared with you that's, PG rated. I know in your email you sent me there was some pretty weird, well, not weird, but definitely not, mainstream tactics for getting money on the side. But.
Yeah, it all started with this woman. So I do, as the years gone by, and as you can say a lot of stuff about money, but over time you're like, I need to spice it up a little bit. I started requesting more guest posts so people can get different perspectives on stuff. And this lady said, hey, I want to write about like my chicken farming that I do. And I was like, chicken farming? Like, there's no farm. I mean, none of that's, over here really.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is interesting and different. And I bet no blog has that. So she wrote, just a synopsis on how she makes money through chicken farming. It's really cool and interesting in pictures. So when I saw that was the day that I said, well, I'm going to call this a side hustle series, and I'm going to start getting more of this kind of stuff. So that started it. And then from there it went on to like, I always wanted to be like, hey, I'm a blank, I'm a sample passer outer,
right.
like Costco, I work on a food truck. I'm a bouncer. I'm a yoga instructor. So that's the general gist of it. And I'm going through my site now to kind of find the ones that I like the most. One of them by Sam at Financial Samurai did one on, he's not a watch dealer as like selling it like in a store.
Like trench coats open up and you've got watches
right, yeah.
all on the inside.
Yeah. But he's like, his passion is watches. He loves watches.
Okay.
But like high end ones and quality ones. So he goes, he has his contacts in the watch world. He picks them up and then he sells them, not on the street or down low or anything, but like to other people that are specifically looking for a specific watch that's no longer made, but it's worth like $1,000, $2,000. So he flips watches, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's nuts.
Yeah, this week we had someone that he flies over the world. He like can max like all your mileage, like any which way you want. He charges like, I don't know, $50 or $100. And he'll like you say, hey, here's my mileage, here's what I want to do. And he calls and does all the legwork, so you don't have to be on the phone with him trying to figure out what miles can I use, how far, how much does it cost, all that annoying stuff. Like he does and loves it. I didn't even know that was like a thing.
So he's like a credit card miles concierge.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh
that's
my gosh.
Actually a better way. Yeah. He calls it a frequent flyer mile specialist, but your way is probably a little bit more easier to remember.
That is so. He obviously has experience in this little niche, and that now he markets himself as that. People pay him just to handle the hassle.
Yeah, and this guy is probably one of the only ones that's ever done 2 side hustles for me. I think a year or 2 ago he did one. He bought a house and he rents all the rooms out and like lives in the smallest one. So he's
like a boarder, like there.
Yeah.
Okay, he has boarding.
He maximizes everything, but the whole point for him is he loves money, of course, but he wants to travel and experience more in the world. So he uses all these ways. That's what he does with his money. That's his priority.
Yeah.
And that's really, we all, I had a post saying how much, like, it's not bad to say you really want money. A lot of people say, oh, you're the devil. Yeah. It's greed and this, but, really money's a tool to do whatever. If you want to do charity, you want to travel the world, whatever it is, it's a tool to help you, get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then some others are like, this girl counted worms, like for fishermen, how many worms are in a thing and got paid like 20 cents every 100 she counted or something.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they're really cool and they're stuff that like you don't think about in a normal day, And so that's what I liked about the series. Some of them are more fun and silly that people don't want to do, but that's the point of it is say, hey, look, there's a billion things you can do to make money. Like find what you're good at and what you like. And there's always some way to parlay it into revenue, generating if that's like what you want out of it.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Like when I started the blog, I had no intentions of making money. I didn't even know you could make money, I just wanted to write. That was like fun for me at the time. And then over time it changes. So.
Well, when did you decide to go full time with the blog? Like you were going with it and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah, towards the end of the first year, I started making money. People would, email me, hey, can I have, put an ad up, $50 a month or whatever. And I was like, oh man, I did, sure, yeah, of course. I just get free money. So I did that, and some stuff was good, some stuff was bad. As far as like just, well, should I put these on versus these other ads, whatever. But after the first year, I realized you can make money. I was working a 9 to 5 at a startup. And as the years progressed and I spent more hours every day on the site, I thought, well, like, can I amp this up enough so I can do this for a living?
Yeah.
And it was just an idea at first. And then, another year went by and I made, triple the money. And I was like, well, now this is like a side job,
Yeah.
And just like, hobby, money to go, spend at the movies or whatever. And then towards the 3rd year or maybe the end of 2nd year, something like that, I thought, you know what? I'm going to save up money, like $50,000. It was like an arbitrary number. As soon as I hit that, I'm going to put it in my 2 weeks.
Okay.
And this was about July or August of 2010 or 11. I don't know. I'm bad with time.
Yeah, me too.
And I said, well, and I got to like 40,000. And things at my company were kind of being really shaky and people weren't paying on time. And I thought, oh, no, something's happening,
Uh-huh.
Smelled in the water. So I said, I just told my wife I'm scared, but, I'm going to go in, tomorrow and I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. And I think I was at like $42,000 saved up. And I was just going to risk it, but I was really super nervous. So I go in and I go in, this is in downtown DC. I'm on the metro and I get an email on my iPhone that says something like, hey, we need to meet, we can't pay payroll or whatever, but don't worry, we're working on it. And I was being a smart ASS. There you go.
Good catch.
I said something to everyone, like, look, is the company going down? Like, tell me now, kind of joking around.
Uh-huh.
So I had no idea what was going on. I get called in the same day I was going to put in my 2 weeks notice and I get laid off. Like, right
gosh.
there. And I'm like, oh, God, like, that's like my ideal,
So,
like,
but You couldn't quit. Did you do the thing where they're like, "Hey, you're laid off," and you're like, "No, I quit." Did you try that or?
Thought about it, but at first I was like, well, if I get laid off, then maybe there's like,
some severance or something.
severance, not realizing I got laid off because there's no money.
Yeah.
But it helped me because I already knew I wanted to do it. I just needed like a sign or something to like push me.
Yeah.
And I was wishy-washy. And so this was the perfect getaway because I didn't have to make a decision. It was like done. I was out and I was like, now this is like real,
Yeah.
And I packed up my stuff. Literally an hour later, I moved into an office that my friend had, and she's like, "Hey, just rent out this desk for me and start your company here." And I said, "Great." So within an hour, I already had the plans in the works. But yeah, it's pretty crazy when things happen like that.
Yeah, it's nice to, in a way, it is nice to have your decisions kind of made and kind of push you a little bit, into kind of an unknown. So when you jumped full time, because there are people listening to this that are probably have side things. Mm-hmm. And I was the same way. I was working for KPMG, and it was a horrible job. I've never told anyone otherwise, but
okay.
But I'm making. I think they start everyone out at 48. Well, back when I started, it was like 48 grand, beginner accountant type thing, and you're working 80, 90 hours a week.
Oh, geez.
And so you're making like a McDonald's wage if you break it all out.
Right.
And then it's all about, well, you got to climb the ladder and make partner. You'll be making whatever. So. Right. I was having a hard time. I would work on YNAB from 4 to 5 in the morning, and then I'd usually try and get to the gym, and then I'd get to work by like 6:30.
Wow, it
was awful. And so, like, I'm not seeing my 2 kids. My wife and I were living in this new city. We were down in Dallas, and it was awful. So I go and talk to this guy who I saw. He was through my church. I saw him as like a pretty successful entrepreneur, and I'm like, hey. And he would consult with like married couples, like counseling and stuff. So I'm like, hey, let me set up an appointment with you. So when I come in, he's thinking like I have marriage issues, right? Because that's what he's used to having these appointments about. It's like, okay, we've got a young husband coming in. Oh, great. What's he going to say? And I sit down and he's like pretty somber. And I'm like, all right. He's like, well, yeah, like let me, what's going on? And I'm like, I got a question. Like I'm making money at my business. And he's suddenly like, wait, what? And I said, well, I was making about triple what I was doing, with KPMG.
Okay.
And so I tell him that. I'm like, it's about triple what I make, and I didn't have any employees or anything and all that. And he's like, his face just lit up. He was so happy that I wasn't like telling him I was having marriage issues and stuff. So,
awesome. Having triple is great. That's a great.
I mean, but I should have done it earlier. I guess is the end result is I never should have taken the job. I should have just worked on my side thing, and gone after it. But I don't know. Everyone to each his own. I'm kind of risk averse. You sound kind of risk averse as well. You save up a big pile of cash and.
Yeah, I think, it's funny because you look back and you're like, well, I would have changed differently. But at the time, like with you, like, having triple the amount, like for me, I just wanted to break even. Like that was my like risky, like, okay, if I'm breaking or at least like, I think I was at 80% of what I was making at my job.
Yeah.
I think the job I was making 75,000. And I think my blog and I had some other sites at the same time too. Was maybe like 60,000 bringing in.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, okay, that's close. And then, I get fired, so it doesn't matter anyways. But, but I think that was for me. So for you having 3 times, I think, like maybe some people are like, oh, dude, like, well, you're crazy.
I know, that's what I was feeling. But
yeah, I'll get there when we get there. And the important part is that we do reach our, our dreams, or at least have the dreams to shoot for,
Yeah, absolutely. I like this. I want to encourage everyone to check out the side hustle thing, only if it kind of opens your mind to like, go, what could I do? And it's important, I think, that people realize, I mean, when I first started the software on the side, it was like, a couple $100 a month. I would just pour it back in. And it doesn't have to be a big amount to really change, like have a big impact on your finances, and it could be $500 is big. You can make some serious headway with debt or putting it away or whatever, or just having fun with it. It can be impactful. So.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you this too, like at first for me, the blog was just fun and games and stuff. Then when I made money, it started to be like, okay, now it's half fun, half money. Mm-hmm. But now, I mean, I do have fun. I do make money. That stuff's great. But now, 4 or 5 years later or whatever, the most important I'm realizing is it opens you up for so many other opportunities Like, and I'm not like a big like, oh, you have to go network and schmooze and all that kind of stuff. Like that stuff's good in any business. But like to give you an example, like last 2 weeks ago, I got asked to apply to like a public radio, like to be a host for a radio show that's like nationally syndicated, like just to interview. It wasn't a job offer or anything.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy crap! Like I would have never even guessed about this, And I realized it wasn't for me, which is fine. And then last week I get an email from a talent agent in New York City that's asking me if I want to apply for something, But these are all things that like you can't plan for and you can't, like say, oh, I'm going to sit down, build a blog, and then I'm going to go and this is going to come from it,
Yeah.
So the opportunities like meeting you at, the Financial Blogger Conference, like, we just sat next to each other, it just happened to be that way. Now we're becoming, closer and more friends. But, I think it opens up for so many other things outside of money and outside of the actual tasks you're doing, Like my best friends are all because of blog and Twitter. Like my best friends are from Twitter, which is crazy talk,
Yeah. And there are some people that definitely, that when you just said that, they do think you're crazy now. But
I know.
But
my wife, more people call my house and email me under J Money than my real name, because surprise, that's not my real name. And I've actually this week, because my goal for 2013 is to focus and simplify, which means getting rid of all the clutter. I have double email accounts for my real life and all my blog, alter ego.
Yeah.
So I got rid of my personal Facebook this week, personal Twitter, personal LinkedIn, which is huge because that's like that's a part of you.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's only been a week, but I feel so good because I decided I'm going to concentrate on this alter ego, which I love and enjoy more anyway. And it's still me. It's just not like,
which is anonymous.
Yeah, it's more anonymous, so I can do more stuff and not have to worry if it's going to affect my other life,
Yeah.
And it's a nice divider because, as you know, we work hardcore all hours of the night.
Yeah,
so.
it's just what criminals do, Like
exactly.
it makes perfect sense.
Actually, when we started, not to get off topic or whatever, but we started
we have a topic, but yeah, go ahead.
Last year when we did Love Drop, the charity we raised money going around the country or whatever. One of the biggest things that I had to deal with was putting my face out there because we filmed everything.
Right.
Like we go to someone's house, give them a car, and film it right there, and that was like our way of letting people know, hey, your money you're giving us, you can see us giving it to them to like motivate them more. But that was a number one concern from a lot of people. Like, here's this anonymous guy taking our money. How do I know what he's going to do with it? Filming helped, but then my face was everywhere. And if we got media stuff, a lot of people don't want to use your anonymous name,
Yeah.
But I had to consciously make the decision, like, this is important to me to have this. And in a way, it helps me, like on my site, I do my net worth, every month. And I put it out there. I have, X thousands of dollars in debt, thousands in savings. Like, my whole financial history on my site. And if I had my name out there, it just gets it's already a little creepy, but that really changes things. So I can be like more open because I'm anonymous.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like awkward Thanksgiving dinners,
Yeah, it's already awkward with some friends that now I accidentally slipped and said something about my site. So, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, that's almost impossible to. Hey, I was in a restaurant, just talking about. I'm moving into celebrity sightings now.
Okay.
I was at a restaurant and I'm wearing one of my YNAB shirts, like this Nike golf shirt my wife gave me with the little logo on it. And the cashier, like when the food was ready, they're like, "Hey, Jesse," and I could go up and grab it. And this guy comes up to me because he sees my shirt, hears my name called, and introduces himself, tells me he loves YNAB. It was my first celebrity. So cool. I got to be the celebrity, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So
I love that.
Man, I think that's cool. You shut down your on your Facebook stuff. I just yesterday morning deleted Facebook from my iPhone.
Really?
I'm doing baby steps, you know?
Yeah.
And
that probably helps more.
Because like I get home at 5:30 and then the kids go to bed at like 7:30. And yesterday my wife's like, "Hey, this is like, really like this is like sacred holy time from 5:30 to 7:30."
Right.
So if you're pulling out your phone, even if it's like legitimate or whatever, it's cuts into it. And she called me out on it in a nice way, and I was like, yeah, she's right. So I get home, I put my phone up in my bedroom, and then I'm ready to go for the evening, and it feels good.
That's hard. Yeah, it feels good. It's really hard to do, but it feels good.
So simplify. You'll have to tell me more about your simplification when we chat at FinCon, because you'll have months under your belt.
Yeah. I like my Facebook accounts back online.
You're like, I'm going the other direction. I have 4,000 friends and counting.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, it was fun to talk. I love the name of your site. Budgets are sexy. No, yeah. I almost said it wrong. I almost said sexybudgets.com. That's probably owned by someone else.
I think I own it, actually.
Oh, good. You're cornering the sexy budgets market in domains. So.
That's right.
So how did you pick the name really quick?
Actually, you probably like this because it's more of not a religious thing, but when my wife and I were engaged, we went to, I think it was called like Engaged Encounters or something, like where you go for like a weekend just to make sure everything's good before you actually get married.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And you talk, like about, living situation and money, and which is all really good stuff. Anyways, on our break there, I've been, of course, thinking about blog stuff and wanting to do one. So like in my 20-minute break, I just listed like a billion names. The top one I think was like saving is sexy or something that was taken. And budgets, I didn't have one, but I knew I needed one. So I just chose that, and I thought because it starts with a B, that maybe like if everyone puts in their blog roll, I'd be at the top.
Oh yeah.
And that was pretty much the basic, and it wasn't taken, and then that was that. The important was the sexy though, because for me, like I like information out there, like if I'm looking to open up like a Roth IRA account or something, I would like to read like this in-depth thing, but I don't necessarily do it for joy or for entertainment, So my site's more fluffier and motivational and more fun to read. So I wanted something that's like catching and something that says, hey, this has flair. It's not going to be your ordinary site,
Yeah.
So and then from there, of course, it was good. So
I think my favorite part about your site is the quote from Ben Franklin.
Which a lot of people do ask if it's real. Oddly enough.
It was awesome. When I first saw that, I was laughing. That was good.
Oh, that's good. I was thinking of changing because it's been there for a couple of years.
No.
But maybe I'll leave it for a little bit longer.
You got at least for a little while longer.
There you go.
So.
It's awesome.
Okay, cool, man. Well, have a good weekend. Thanks for doing this this very topically focused podcast interview.
There we go.
We'll get this out there, and then everybody visit Jay's site, budgetsaresexy.com, and you get to see some pretty, creative, lighthearted, fun stuff about money. I like it. So
I like that too. Thanks,
all
guys.
Right, man. We'll see you at FinCon, if not earlier.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
All right, later.
Bye.
Until next time, follow YNAB's 4 rules and you will win financially. You have not budgeted like this.